Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you with a Pokemon sales data video. We don't have too much to go over today, but I do have some personal sales to go over as well, or personal buying. I sold most of what I. All the sales I had was for yesterday. Starting with Fossil, we have a Moltres First Edition PSA 9, sold for $450. We had a Dragonite First Edition PSA 9, sold for $11.55, and an Aerodactyl First Edition BGS 9, sold for $143. There's a couple of these. Actually, all three of these are on a PWCC auction block as well. So we'll look for new record price points there. For me personally, I do not like to sell when an auction block is happening, especially if it's something like PWCC. Maybe if it's something like Probstein, that guy, again, has maybe 30,000 different listings each and every month, but just not as big as PWCC. They bring in all the cross collectors. They bring in guys from sports. They bring in guys from Magic. Just people that collect old coins. That's what PWCC brings in. So it's just a larger base. Speaking of base, we have base set Starmie First Edition PSA 10 sold for $325, and a Magneton First Edition PSA 8 sold for $572. I think the Magnetons are pretty undervalued because there's not a lot of them. You need them to complete the set, and it's something that's relatively hard to grade. So just my opinion on base set. Gym Challenge, we had a couple of these. We had a Koga's Beedrill First Edition PSA 9, sold for $165. Still think that's undervalued because the 10 is so hard to grade. There's so few of them out there. Blaine's Charizard First Edition, it was a raw copy. I would have given it between a 6 and a 7. Sold for $670. And a Lieutenant Surge's Eevee First Edition PSA 10, sold for $155. That little thing is adorable. I love it. And a Blaine's Charizard, now it was at an auction, and the starting bid was $6,000. So I was like, okay, First Edition PSA 10, starting bid. And I've seen things like this before where if it's kind of around where it was, where the most recent sales price was, and there's only one bid on it, most likely that one bid gets it. And I know the last few sales have been over $10,000, but I bid it. I was like, okay, $6,000. If I can get it for it, I'll take it. But the bid was taken down, and I was the only bidder, so I was a little pissed off about that. I messaged the guy. The guy said I actually relisted it, but it wasn't relisted. It's like, freaking liar. Gym Heroes, just one. We had Misty Seadra, First Edition PSA 9, sold for $147. Yeah, Gym Heroes gets the short end of the stick. Jungle Set. I wish I would have seen the Snorlax. So we had a Snorlax First Edition PSA 9, sold for $990. Anything under $1,500, even though there's like 400 of them, as far as PSA 9, that's stupid undervalued. Again, it's the first appearance of it in a holo. It's just beautiful artwork. Even though it's just simple, it's just him. And a Vaporeon First Edition PSA 9 sold for $635. Jungle Fossil base, the originals, the ones always going to get a premium. But speaking of premiums, we have Neo Genesis. All of these are Lugia. All these sales are Lugia. We had a First Edition BGS 9. Now, got the grade BGS 9 by having an 8.5 centering, which was the lowest out of the subgrades, a 9 for the surface, and a 9.5 for the edges and the corners. Sold for $4,799. The only thing I don't like about that is that it had a subgrade under a 9. However, the subgrade that was under a 9 for me was a centering, and the centering I don't care about. I just don't. If it was the surface is most important to me. I don't like scratches on it, especially on the holo. Edges, yeah, you don't really edges and corners you don't really see unless you're on the back. But yeah, having the centering. If there was one thing that would be under a 9 and I'd be okay with, it would be the centering. So I still think that's undervalued. All the Lugias are undervalued, and how I know it's undervalued is because I bought a First Edition PSA 8. It had a holo swirl for $2,400. It was up for like $2,600, and I was just like, it was a new listing. Like, let me offer 2, see where he goes. He immediately responds like $2,400, and then he says like he says, yeah, I just declined $2,330. So he countered with $2,400. I was like, all right, done. I'm not going to get this again, especially once this PWCC auction ends. That 10 is already at $40,000. I predict that to get about $60,000. Last sale was $50,000. I think $50,000 is very undervalued for only 41 PSA 10 copies for the Charizard of the second generation. Absolutely insane how rare that is, how many people want it. And I know somebody that has 3. So you take that 41, you take 3 off, and that one that has 3 is just not selling. You could offer him $100,000 for it, he won't sell. And then we have a Lugia Unlimited PSA 8 sold for $610, and a Lugia First Edition PSA 7 sold for $1,375. The record price point right now for the 6 is $1,510. It's the one that I sold. The only other 6 that you can get is I think on there for $1,800. These, if I could get a 9, I would. I just don't want to pay. Like, again, that BGS 9 sold for under $5,000 because of that centering. If it weren't for that centering, I probably would have moved some stuff around to try and get it. But I'm fine with an 8. So now I have a 7 and 2/8. Again, there's like 1,100 something copies from 1 to 10. I'm not going to sell mine until after this auction ends. And then I actually have an 8 out there for $4,000. And it has a swirl on it too. And I don't want to, I should up it because I just don't want, even if it sells for $4,000, I just don't want to sell it. Sky Ridge, just one. We have a Poliswine PSA 10, sold for $345. Promos, we have a 2017 World's Staff promo. The Staff stamp was a PSA 8, sold for $255. Then we had a Rocket set. We had a Dark Charizard, first edition PSA 9, sold for $1625. Base set, I didn't go over this. I'll go over it now. Base set, PWCC auction, Charizard, first edition PSA 10, it's already at $230,000. And 6 of the bidders are like $220 and above. So this is absolute. I don't know what it'll get. $250, $300, $350. I don't know. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens. I love you guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are great for the YouTube algorithm. Superman. Oh. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye. Meow.